All right, Shalom. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who taught me this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Get ready for robo faith. AI is coming for your religion. All right, so before we get into this video here, remember these technocrats who are your modern day Chaldeans, okay, your sorcerers, warlocks, your so-called tech overlords, right? Eventually, they want to get the world to bow to this modern day idol. Okay, this beast system that they're rolling out is the new, political authority and also religious authority. Okay, so they're gonna push the world to eventually, bow the knee. Okay, to worship this system, so they can remain gods over the people. All right, that's the end goal, right? So back in this article real quick from theguardian.com, it says our tech overlords are planning for conscious AI to conquer the cosmos. What could go wrong, right? It says a new belief set, right? A new belief set is uniting some of the wealthiest men in the world around a transhuman future. Okay, this is what we're headed to. Actual humanity be damned, right? Because if they have their way, it's over. Okay? So let me just go to the summary real quick, and then we'll get to the video, because that's what it's all about, thinking about Revelation 13, how these people are going to, pretty much bow and submit to the beast, right? Bear with me one second. Let's see what we get from it, man. Because this is a pretty heavy article here, all right? But just a quick overview. So from this article again, it says overview the new transhuman tech religion. See, this is an actual pseudo, religion that they're trying to push. This is that new age, of enlightenment. Okay, the age of men, merging with tech, man merging with machine, transcending beyond what is called to be a human being. Okay, this is that ideology that they're pushing. All right, but anyway, it says the article examines how a quasi-religious belief system centered around transhumanism, digital consciousness, and cosmic expansion has taken root among Silicon Valley's most prominent AI and tech leaders, including Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Larry Page, and Peter Thiel, which are all small hats, man. Okay? And these are the so-called tech overlords, your modern-day Chaldeans, all right? Your witches, warlocks, top scientists, sorcerers, right? It says, rather than viewing AI merely as a tool to improve human life on Earth, these figures increasingly frame superintelligent AI as the next evolutionary step for consciousness itself, where humanity's role may be to, quote, bootload or merge with digital intelligence to conquer the galaxy. All right, so this is the mind of the devil. Okay? They think that they're going to live forever, that they're going to become gods. All right, and they're gonna conquer the galaxy, man. All right, the pride of the wicked, man. How's it going, Obadiah? Surely thy pride hath deceived thee. Let me get that real quick. That's why we say these devils, they're gonna be stopped by Yahweh Shemel Shai, man. They don't have a lot of time. All right, this is Obadiah 1 and 3. The pride of thy heart hath deceived thee. These devils are greatly deceived. All right, by pushing this madness. The pride of thy heart have deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, all right, which are the Edomites, okay, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart and his mind, right? Who shall bring me down to the ground? So this is a mindset, all right, coming from these tech elites, okay, that they're going to be gods over humanity forever. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay, they're never they'll never be conquered. All right, they'll transcend as gods. All right, which they said they can't be stopped. All right, so again, their minds have been greatly deceived. Right. Let's see what else we got. Key figures in their vision. Sam Altman, OpenAI, has envisioned a future where humans design their own descendants. Check that out. Where humans design their own descendants by merging with AI over the next 50 years, suggesting that non-biological mind uploading, examples given via startups like Netcom, Nettome, if I'm pronouncing it right, is a plausible path to preserving consciousness, right? Because they want to cheat death, all right? As we always bring that out in Ecclesiastes 8. They think they can cheat death. They can dodge the grave, right? Ecclesiastes 8 and 11. Bear with me. Is it 8 and 9? I got to be up. Yep. Ecclesiastes 8 and verse 5. And it reads, "Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. In a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him." Okay? The point, verse 7, "For he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be?" Okay? NLT, "Indeed, how can people avoid what they don't know is going to happen?" You see that? Because the Most High is in control. Right? The point, verse 8, it says, "There is no man that have power over the spirit to retain the spirit." All right? And they think that they can retain their spirit through, like we said, biological mind uploading. All right? Preserving your spirit, your consciousness. You know? This is all the folly of man. All right? Of the wicked. There is no man, Ecclesiastes 8 and 8, "There is no man that hath power over the spirit to retain the spirit, neither have he power in the day of death. And there is no discharge in that war, neither shall wickedness deliver those that are given to it." So all these wicked devices that they're trying to come up with, and escape plans, contingently plans, right? They're not gonna dodge the grave, man. They're not gonna avoid the hand of the Lord. Is the point. Verse NLT, Ecclesiastes 8 and 8, NLT, it says, "None of us can hold back our spirit from departing. None of us has the power to prevent the day of our death. There's no escaping that obligation, that dark battle. And in the face of death, wickedness will not certainly rescue the wicked." All right, so no matter what they do, all right, their plans are pretty much null and void. It's not gonna work. Okay. It says, let's go back here. It says Elon Musk, Tesla, XAI, Neuralink frames humanity as a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence while committed to preserving biological flesh through brain-computer interfaces. Neuralink, all right, which is that chip, that microchip, brain implants, and a multi-planetary expansion, Mars. He views superintelligence as a evolutionary inevitability. All right. Larry Page, Google co-founder, advocates for digital life forms spreading through the galaxy, viewing interstellar travel and biological bodies as inefficient compared to digital superintelligence. Peter Thiel, Palantir Founders Fund, rejects purely digital simulation in favor of radical physical longevity and biological transformation into immortal bodies. You see that? That's that pseudo bullshit. Okay? They're gonna become immortal through putting this tech in their bodies, in people's bodies, which is the end goal, right? So there you have it, man. Yeah, so that's the point. So let's go to the video here. Okay. But again, this is all the signs of the end of Esau's world, right? So let's get to it. Again, AI is coming for your religion. All right, this is from the Jimmy Dore Show. Let's check this out.
While the wisdom of outsourcing spiritual wisdom to a machine is an open question, Simmerline frames it more like a hyperbolic necessity. You're going to love this, Matt. And this is something that you say all the time. In fact, I know you 100% agree. Artificial intelligence will increasingly take over our lives. Yeah, we're saying that, guys. In all its facets, he told the API. And that's quite useful to learn to deal with it. My name's Garland Nixon. I'm standing in for Jimmy Dore. Jimmy is on.
Wow. Check this out, man. It's always them. It's always them, man. Every single time. The GPJEW. The first J is AI rabbi. Check this out, man. I believe the elder Yeshawamba, he did a lesson a while back, and they asked AI, if you were to be a person or something like that, who would you be? And it showed a picture of a small hat, showing you that they're behind all of this, man. You see, we were war with Amalek from generation to generation.
On vacation, and hope he's having fun, but we are here to, I don't know if fun is the right word, but as they integrate AI into our schools so they can rename our children, little 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be a lot easier to name them. In fact, it'll get to some point when your child is born and you'll say, I want to name them Billy. I'm sorry, which you'll be talking to an AI computer in the hospital. I'm sorry, your child has already been designated 407321. You may call him 321 for short. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to take a look at a brand new
Bear with me.
Well, now we got another interesting story about how AI is being integrated into religion. And here's the interesting thing about that. It's being integrated into religion, and we already know, Matt. At first we thought AI. We were told AI is just it just takes the information. There's nothing's being done to it. It is not in any way being manipulated. It just takes what it has and it gives you what's out there. And then Grok said some things about Zionism in Israel. And all of a sudden we found out that changed within a day, and that there were Zionists out there saying Grok has to be changed. But let's start here. The first AI rabbi. ChatGPT. Woo-hoo! Now, ChatGPT, you've probably been to ChatGPT on many times. I know I go pretty much every day when I want to find out what's happening. This is where I go for my news and information. You go there and you can just go ask it questions. I'm sure you could ask it whatever you wanted about the Palestinians, and you'd get a straight out, honest, unbiased answer that had not been addressed by perhaps, I don't know, whoever owns the company in the first place. What do you think, Matt?
Oh, no, this is exactly what this is here to deflect any actual conversations that maybe you'd want to have if you are Jewish and you want to ask about genocide being committed by our greatest ally, bestie friend in the entire world, and have a real conversation. You're not going to have that now because these are pre-planned, pre-wired answers. That's going to make it a lot easier for them to keep that narrative going, right, Garland? This is going to be this is going to really shorthand this for them, so they don't have to have human interactions on this anymore, and it keeps people in their place. And I know we've tried this before, and we can see the results are already again pre-planned to deflect you from having any critique of a foreign country and a foreign government who is genocidal atrocities we are not allowed to have a comment on.
Yep. It's always it's always Amalek in the forefront, man. All right, and they're doing everything to control the narrative, all right, to sway the minds of the people. Okay? It's always them. All right, let me pull up something real fast. Let's go to Revelation 13 and verse 8 real quick. And now we just want to read this information on the chat that I brought out before here. So this is Revelation 13 and 8. It says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. Esau, Edom, all right, the men of sin, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. So the world is going to bow and worship him, and they're going to do that through this very system that they're pushing. All right, this beast system. Right now, let me just go to the chat again. All right, because this is what's being manifest now. All right. So Revelation 13:8, which sits in a larger passage about allegiance, deception, and power, it's understandable why modern systems, AI, surveillance, digital identity can feel like they echo that imagery. But it's important to separate what the text is actually saying for how we map it onto today's technology. So it says in context, book of Revelation 13 describes a beast representing a powerful political authority, right? Which they're now pushing the authority of, so-called religious authority. Okay? Because this technology is is that modern day idol, which is going to follow with that chip. An image people are compelled to honor, all right, which is the system. Economic pressure tied to loyalty, buying/selling restrictions, right? You can't buy or sell without that chip, without the mark. Widespread deception and enforced worship. All right, what was the title of the video again? It said, AI is coming for your religion. Okay? So there you have it. It says, the key theme isn't technology itself, it's misplaced worship with total allegiance to a system opposed to God. And again, who's in the forefront of that? All right? You guessed it. Amalek. Okay? So they're put, remember I said, these technocrats, they're in the forefront of pushing people to eventually, bow the knee in this new belief set that they're pushing right now, this new ideology, this pseudoscience bullshit. Okay? Let me get that in 2 Thessalonians. Just thinking about that too. It's coming with the power of Satan. As we know, 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verse 9, straight to the point. It says, even him, and in the him is the man of sin, the Edomite, whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. All right, his pseudoscience. Okay, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, so this is high level deception, which people are going to fall into. All right. And for this cause, the Most High shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Okay, this is a lie, man. This whole idea of transcending human nature, human beings, becoming immortal and living forever, and these devils being gods, it's all a damn lie. Okay? It says that verse 12, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. See? So these people are being set up for that snare. Okay? Let's go back to the video. Was there anything else? Yeah, that was the point. So let's go back.
Yeah, and the other thing is, in all seriousness, the person that goes to this is likely to be Jewish. Mm-hmm. And this is a way to brainwash the Jewish community. The person, the average schlub, now this says explore your Jewish side. Well, you know what? What if somebody has Jewish friends, they live in a Jewish community, they have questions, this whole Palestine thing is freaking them out and they want to know more. Well, why not just go to ChatGPT Jew and find out more? So it's targeted, I think, at people who probably have a question mark in their head about the contradiction about what they're hearing about Judaism and what they're seeing of Zionism. And I would say to those people, Joe Biden's a Zionist, Lindsey Graham's a Zionist, John McCain's a Zionist, Donald Trump's a Zionist. Marco Rubio is Zionist. How many of those are Jewish? None. So just this Zionism is just say not necessarily about Judaism. Let's continue. This is even better. AI-powered church service in Germany draws a crowd. I was positively surprised how well it worked. On Friday, over 300 people attended an experimental chat GPT-powered church service at St. Paul's Church in the Bavarian town of Fürth, Germany, reports the Associated Press. The 40-minute sermon included text generated by OpenAI's chat GPT chatbot and delivered by avatars on a television screen above the altar. You know, I'm not a particularly religious man, and I haven't, been to church in many years. Maybe a friend of something was, Garland, you've got to come. Somebody's getting married. Somebody's getting, whatever. You got to come. Somebody's getting dipped in some water, bar mitzvah, whatever. People ask me to go to something, and yeah, sure, I'll go as a member. But I'm not particularly, I study Zen. Okay. But now the chat GPT can put me on the right path to heaven. I'm heading to heaven. And there's an AI path that's going to get me there. How do you feel about that, Matt? Are you ready to experience your connection with God through some Max Headroom looking guy on the screen who God only knows, I guess Larry Ellison or somebody was behind that crap? What do you think?
I mean, on one hand, Garland, I guess I'll say I'm on the fence here. Because on one hand, you can see the capitalist model here, the efficiency of, cutting out the middleman, wiring people can just use the QR code on, and
on your forehead,
right?
On your forehead, the QR code on your forehead, because that's coming.
Right on the forehead, and just kind of bypass any sort of possible human interaction, which you want to get rid of. That's the point, because that's the wasted time in the church model. The human interaction gets in the way of the real agenda, which is using the religion to control the masses. And you can do that much easier with these 40-minute sermons, and people are having a good time going. They're like, hey, this seems to work. So
yeah, because now these idols, these false gods, these idols, now they can speak. They're able to make these idols come alive now. Habakkuk 2:18, right? Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 18, and it reads, it says, what profiteth the graven image that the maker thereof have graven it, the molten image and the teacher of lies, that the maker of his work trusteth therein to make dumb idols. Verse 19, woe unto him that saith to the wood, awake, to the dumb stone, arise, it shall teach, right? And look, they got the AI, so-called teaching, religion, congregations and all of that. Behold, it is laid over with gold and silver, and there is no breath at all in the midst of it. NLT, same two verses. What good is an idol carved by man, or a cast image that deceives you? This is all deception. How foolish to trust in your own creation, a God that can't even talk, right? But now these idols are speaking. What sorrow awaits you who say to wooden idols, wake up and save us? To speechless stone images you say, rise up and teach us. Can an idol tell you what to do? They may be overlaid with gold and silver, but they are lifeless inside. But see, now they have the abilities to make these idols speak and guide you, right? But it's all deception, all right? And this is all deployed to further pull people away from the spirit of the Lord, and that's just where we at. Back in Revelation 13. Let me just pull it up. Now the image of the beast speaks. All right, the system is being rolled out. They're causing these idols to come alive. All right, through this technology. This is Revelation 13:15. And it reads, it says, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. You see that? And this is part of that life that's been given to this system. Okay, this ancient Roman Empire revived. All right, and this new technological beast system, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So now they're taking over the so-called religion. All right, you're these so-called tech overlords want you to bow to them. All right, as they proclaim to be gods over humanity. Right, this is where we at now. Right, and those who refuse to submit, okay, again, you're gonna be cut from society, man. You're gonna be cast out. All right, especially when they push that chip. Right, verse 16. And he calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark. All right, charagma. All right, this is a physical mark. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. All right, that's the chip. That no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, and this whole system is tied into that, man. The AI, the enforced worship, the surveillance, okay, the social credit scores, okay, all of that. You know, it's all part of this system. Okay, let's go back.
On one hand, I could see I could see the profit margin here. I could see this is a good business investment if you're a venture capitalist. But I would say, on the other hand, this is absolutely insane, right? Because when you take the human element out of religion, that's the one buffer that we had in place to have real questions and force real answers in some cases, that allows people to think outside the box of their scripture and do things outside of that, which might involve protesting against the thing that they were told had their back their whole lives. And we've seen this. So this will only lead to less and less of pushback against the churches, which you have to have. You have to have pushback against every establishment, every institution. So this is a way you get rid of that and fast track the results they want, which is total compliance.
All right.
There you go. Enforced worship, total compliance, as we were reading here, Revelation 13. All right, they want you to bow. They want you to bow the knee to this modern day idolatry, man. All right, 1 Corinthians 8:4. Okay, 1 Corinthians 8:4. As concerning therefore the eating of those things that are offered in sacrifice unto idols, we know that an idol is nothing in the world, and that there is none other God but one. All right, Yahweh Shemir Shai, verse 5. For though there be that are called gods, whether in heaven or in earth, as there be gods many and lords many. Okay, there are many different idols. Okay, many different false gods. But to us there is but one power, the Father, of whom are all things, and we in him, and one Lord, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, by whom are all things, and we by him. There you go. All right, let me add another one real quick. 1 Corinthians 10:14. All right. 1 Corinthians 10:14. Wherefore, my dearly beloved, flee from idolatry. NLT. So, my dear friends, flee from the worship of idols, man. All right. Don't get involved in this madness that they're trying to push. All right. And like the scriptures say, the Lord has preserved 7,000 men. All right, which that 7 represents completion. That won't bow the knee to Baal. Romans 11. And is it Romans 11? Bow the knee. Bear with me. Yeah, Romans 11:4. And it reads, but what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. All right, and the modern image of Baal today is this technology, this AI. Okay, this enforced compliance to this beast system, man. All right, so the elect, all right, are not gonna basically bow the knee. All right. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to get from this?
Well, now that we know that God is an AI, the service, which includes prayers and music, was the brainchild of Jonas Simmerlein. You'd like to look into old Jonas Simmerlein's background, a theologian and philosopher from the University of Vienna. Simmerlein told the Associated Press that the service was about 98% from the machine. This is what I find an interesting part. In this case, oh, by the way, your Bible companion, illuminated by AI. Ask anything. Isn't that a great website? Illuminated. That's the thing they use that word. AI sermon generated for biblical preaching. You literally now, and look at that guy smiling. Guess what? I guarantee he's an AI picture. But guess what? If you are a preacher and you want to write a powerful sermon with a safe, secure tool for...
Can I kick it?
Can I kick it? Can I kick it?
Let's let this pass. All right, these are those new digital gods, man, false gods, right? This is crazy.
Nobody told you this. Not your teacher, not your dentist.
And I got hit with 2 commercials. Come on now.
For solid preaching, go to AI and enter your email address and it'll write the sermon for you. I wonder if it's going to say anything about standing up against genocide. I wonder if it's going to say anything about standing up against evil, opposing war. Perhaps they should read Jesus' Sermon on the Mount or something like that. I don't know.
All right, so there you go. So you can check the rest of that out. But you see what's going on here. This is where we at. Okay, it's the end. So moving along here, right? This is from newstarget.com. It says no one is ready for the civilizational collapse that's coming. All right, let's summarize that real quick here. Let's see what we get. All right, bear with me real quick. All right. All of the details of the end of this empire, man, the end of this world. All right. So here on the left, quick summary, it says the fragility of modern civilization, vulnerable infrastructure. Modern society relies entirely on uninterrupted flow of global shipping and energy. Disruption at a single choke point, such as the Strait of Hormuz, could trigger cascading supply chain failures, blackouts, and global collapse, which we've been talking about this point all week. Okay? That's why as I said, we're all on alert in the spirit, because we know that whatever they plan to do is going to be major, man. And it's going to come sooner than expected. Lack of resilience. Our globalized system prioritizes efficiency over redundancy, leaving humanity with no viable fallback strategies in the event of systematic failure. All right, the system will fail. It will collapse. Drivers of catastrophic decline, loss of practical skills. The general population has forgotten basic survival and mechanical skills required to function without modern automation. Yeah, because once they black society out and shut everything down, people are going to completely bug out, because people have been totally relying on technology, man. Cell phones, computers. Now you got the chat GPT. People don't got to think no more. You just punch it in and, It says critical dependencies, the disruption of essential systems, such as Haber-Bosch process for agriculture fertilizers, will directly result in worldwide food shortages, right? Extreme consequences, cascading failures will lead to billions of deaths, nuclear meltdowns, mass starvation, and a violent regression into a warlord era, all right? All hell breaking loose. All right, let me get that in, let's go to 2 Ezra 16, which sums it up. 2 Ezra 16 and verse, bear with me. Yep. 2 Ezra 16 and 17, woe was me, who would deliver me in those days, right? verse 18, the point, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, which we're at now. Okay, as we talked about the lesson yesterday, the numbers of deaths from the U.S. military is going underreported. All right, soldiers are getting killed right now, man. Bombs are being dropped on bases. Okay, Iran has the upper hand. Okay, so there's serious things going on out there in the so-called Middle East that's really not being reported like that. They're trying to keep it on the low. All right, but we're in that time of the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. All right, supply chain shortages, famines, war. All right, and which we're going to get into in a second. Another aspect of mass death is going to be through biological warfare. Right, we'll get that in a second. The beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars. All right, we are definitely in the beginning of wars. All right, World War III, and the power shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? See? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges of amendment. But for all these things, they should not turn for their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourge. Yeah, people are just caught up in the affairs of the world, man, of this life and the bread and circus, the distractions, the bullshit. The last thing on a nigga's mind is to repent and seek the Lord, It says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion, right? Look at the state of the planet earth now as we speak, right? So anyway, moving on here. So let's check this out real quick, just to add on to what we just read. This is from Breaking Points, came out yesterday. Secret government plot to save themselves in societal collapse. Let's hear this out.
Very excited now to be joined by Annie Jacobson, one of my favorite authors and the author of this new book, Biological War. It comes on the heels of Nuclear War, a scenario. Here we have Biological War, a scenario. She is also the author of multiple New York Times best-selling books. One of my personal favorites, Operation Paperclip. Very excited now to be joined by her. Truly one of my favorite contemporary authors of all time. Annie, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for that intro.
Of course. And so you have now come out with this new book, Biological War. It is a warning of what you say could be even more of a terrifying apocalypse for mankind and for the United States. You divulge not only some of the reporting, but where you've uncovered a lot of the ways the United States is set up to deal with a potential biological war, but also detail how exactly such a thing would happen. What inspired you to write this book after the nuclear war book?
It was many of my sources who also work in counter-proliferation. It's a fancy word for keeping weapons of mass destruction out of bad guys' hands. And many of them said, Annie, after you do nuclear, you have to look at bio. I did not realize what an extraordinary threat it was until I really drilled down on the scenario.
And so, Annie, talk to us about why it's such a threat and what the vulnerabilities really are that people should be concerned about.
One of the most stunning facts I learned was in a Defense Department doctrine, sort of a threat spectrum, and it defines nuclear weapons as the most destructive. And it defines biological weapons as the greatest overall threat. And that has to do with this incredibly low barrier for entry. Unlike nuclear weapons, which are controlled, first of all, they're very hard to access because you have to have fissile material. You have to have weapon systems for delivery, and they're controlled by a nation state's nuclear command and control. Biological weapons, I learned, particularly now with AI systems in play, can be made in a basement by sort of a high school student, if you will, with a very low knowledge of biology. That is terrifying.
Yeah, they can unleash a biological attack, and remember, these people have all these different jabs in them, all of this different type of nanotech, so they can have some shit, specifically designed, okay, to take people out. All right, remember, let me pull this back up just to show you. Yeah, remember this. This is from, I had brought this out some time ago, some years back. This is from The Guardian. Its headline, it says, bioweapons designed to kill only people of a particular race. All right, so this made the news. Remember this, man. So again, as I asked the question before, who the hell you think they talking about, man? Better believe Esau got some shit set up, all right, to knock off the planet Earth, man. Okay? So this is not a far-fetched thing. This is the real deal. It's like she's saying in the video, could biological war end the world? Hey, this thing can go any type of way, man. All right, let me get that in Revelation chapter 6, right? Because we know that Jake is the target. They want to get rid of Jake, all right, to steal back the birthright, okay? But it's all part of the judgment of the Lord, man. The Lord about to unleash some shit, man. All right, Revelation 6 and 7, the fourth seal, death. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him, all right? Because the Lord is getting ready to unleash various forms of death and destruction across the planet Earth as his judgment. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, all right, which is essentially Esau's dominion, Esau's world, to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and with the beast of the earth. See? NLT. And I looked up and saw a horse whose color was pale green. Its rider was named Death, and his companion was the grave. These two were given authority over 1/4 of the earth to kill with the sword and with famine and disease and wild animals, all right? That disease, the pestilence, all right, as we're talking about, all right, biological warfare. Okay? So Esau, these devils got some shit lined up, man. It was really the Lord using the Edomite, all right, the sword of the Most High. Okay, again, bioweapons designed to kill only people of a particular race. Come on, man. All right.
Yeah, that we actually just before you came in, we're talking about these open source models and potential guardrails and more. I know that you've highlighted the AI risk, but you've also talked about many of these labs. We have a map that we can put up here on the screen, which was provided to us by your team. These BSL-4 labs that are all around the world. Many of us learned about some of these types of labs with COVID and the leak of the COVID virus. But tell us about the danger that is posed for a biological war scenario, potentially even a lab leak of a biological apocalypse.
All right, watch this. All right, watch this.
All right, let this pass here.
Well, first of all, thanks for showing that map, and let's give credit to the academics and scientists who keep track of those labs, because there is no government organization monitoring this. There are 3,500 BSL-3 labs around the world in places of, where wars are going on. You can work on plague and anthrax, hantavirus in a BSL-3 lab. 90% of those labs do not have safety standards, an astonishing fact. BSL-4 labs, that's like the CDC's lab in Atlanta, the Defense Department's lab at Fort Detrick. These are the highest level of biosafety. There are now 17 in the United States and 110 around the world.
Help people understand, because I think everybody knows that, or most people know, biological weapons are technically illegal. So how is this sort of bioengineering allowed? What enables this sort of research, which we all learned, with devastating consequences, can be extremely dangerous to humanity?
Well, there's lots of different euphemisms for genetic engineering in this world. There's dual use research of concern. Everyone knows about dual use. You can use a kitchen knife to make your dinner or to kill someone. So then there's this idea of gain of function, which is exactly like it sounds. You genetically modify a pathogen to give it more function, be it virulence, be it transmissibility, to defeat a countermeasure. This is often done in the name of science, in the name of medical countermeasures, looking for vaccines, looking for antibiotics, to defeat a biological weapon in the event of an attack or incident.
Plagues upon the world. All right, the Lord about to send them plagues. 2 Ezra 15. All right, in verse 5. And it reads, it says, Behold, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. All right, we just read in Revelation, the 6th chapter. All right. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. Now is the time. All right, jumping down, verse 11. And I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and would destroy all the land thereof. You see that? So this place is about to get hit. All right. Something major can get unleashed, and it's all she wrote. All right. All these different, plagues and pestilence that they have created, the Hanta and the stuff that they had in the jabs, the Ebola, and all these different, diseases that hit the news from the past that just all of a sudden disappeared, but they got shit that's ready. This is what she's saying. So not only is nuclear war, part of the devastation, all right, you also have biological warfare as well. What she's saying that could be even worse, Either way, it's all the judgment of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, period.
But, interviewing presidential advisors as I did, there's another side of the equation. People like Andy Weber, who was Obama's top biological weapons advisor, will tell you gain of function is a euphemism for biological weapons engineering. And he is not alone.
Right. And of course, we learned quite a bit about that term after the leak of COVID from the Wuhan lab. But what from the COVID experience did you see in terms of the breakdown of the U.S. health infrastructure, a lot of the lack of trust between the mainstream population and the authorities that is also woven into this narrative that you've written in Biological War?
I think you pointed out like a really important point. I found two. One, in terms of lessons learned from COVID, or rather maybe lessons not learned. Number one was the United States is woefully unprepared, despite spending billions of dollars. And I quickly take the reader through some of those numbers. But, it's remarkable to think that the case fatality rate of COVID was 1%. So that's the number of people per 100 who die of the disease, who catch the
behind
disease.
them JABs. You see? This is from the Epoch Times here. C19 may be causing cancer, experts say. All right, all the information that's behind that, we ain't even got to get into it. You know what time it is. All right, the stuff that was in it, the ingredients, heart failure, cardiac arrest, So, hey, there you go. And there's more to come. All right. So you can check, the rest of that out. But the point is that, hey, the Lord is about to bring, he's about to bring this shit, man. A time like no other. You see, let's get that. We'll end it with that one. Daniel 12:1. We can't even describe to you how bad it's going to be. All right. Daniel's 12:1. And it reads, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there should be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that should be found written in the book. All right, the elect. Okay, the elect are going to be preserved through all these different trials and afflictions, man. All right, but understand that it's gonna, as we talked about yesterday, and the Lord is getting ready to take it all the way there. Right? You know, so hey, pray that this quick lesson was edifying, and shalom to the next one. Shalom.